Okay, get this, cybersecurity fans.
Uh-uh.
Today we are diving into some recent news and research that is seriously making waves.
Cool.
Ransomware,
Mm-hmm.
VPNs,
Oh, yeah.
AI vulnerabilities,
Nice.
even an infinite money glitch.
All right. I like where this is going.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one.
I'm ready.
So what's fascinating is all of these stories really highlight the human element and how these vulnerabilities are exploited and how we try to stay ahead of the bad guys.
It is
It's
a cat and mouse game.
It is. It's a digital cat and mouse game.
Totally.
So first up, ransomware groups.
Right.
Fog and Akira.
Oh.
They're using a flaw in SonicWall VPNs to basically waltz right into corporate networks. It's like finding a secret back door into a company's most sensitive data.
I mean, that's essentially what it is, right? So this vulnerability, it's CVE 2024-40766. It lets attackers exploit weak access controls in SonicWall's SonicOS and SSL VPN services.
And here's the thing.
A big deal. It affects a wide range of their devices, Gen 5, Gen 6, Gen 7.
Wow.
If they're running specific SonicOS versions.
Oh, okay.
And, it was patched back in August.
Right.
But researchers over at Arctic Wolf, they found over 30 intrusions since then.
Wow. So even with the patch, it's still...
Yeah, and we're not talking slow, drawn-out attacks. They're seeing ransomware deployed within hours of gaining access.
Oh, wow. So if you're listening and you use SonicWall VPN...
Drop what you're doing.
Yeah.
Go update it. Like your digital life depends on it.
All right, so SonicWall VPN, that's one to check off the list.
For sure, but here's the thing.
Right.
It's not just VPNs that are vulnerable.
Okay.
We've got another vulnerability in something that you might not expect.
Okay, lay it on me.
Windows themes.
Wait, Windows themes? Like the ones that change your desktop background?
Exactly. I know, right? It sounds harmless.
Yeah.
But attackers have figured out how to use malicious .theme files to steal something called NTLM credentials.
Okay, hold on. In plain English, what does that mean? Can they, read my mind through my desktop wallpaper?
Not quite.
Right.
But it's still pretty bad.
Okay.
Stealing those credentials, it basically lets hackers, impersonate you on the network.
Oh.
So they can gain access to your files, your emails.
Wow.
All because of this sneaky little theme file.
So that's not good.
It's not good.
Not good at all.
So Microsoft tried to patch this vulnerability.
Okay.
Twice now. CVE 2024-24-23-20.
Okay.
But it hasn't been completely successful.
So it's still out there?
It is.
So what can people do?
For now, there are what are called micro patches available.
Micro patches?
Yeah.
Okay.
For Windows workstation users.
Okay.
From a company called Zero Patch.
Okay, Zero Patch.
Got it. It's definitely something to watch closely.
Okay, so 2 for 2 on the things you wouldn't expect to be hacked list.
Yeah.
What's next?
Yeah.
My toaster oven.
Well, get ready for this.
Yeah.
The next vulnerability involves fitness trackers.
Okay.
And world leaders.
Okay, now you got my attention.
Yeah.
Fitness trackers and world leaders.
I know.
What? How do those even go together?
So it turns out the Strava fitness app, the one that tracks your runs and bike rides, has unintentionally been revealing the locations of some pretty important people.
Like important?
Important, yeah, like Biden.
What? No way.
Trump, Macron. Seriously.
The whole gang.
How is that even possible?
So an investigation by Le Monde found that the workout routes of these leaders' bodyguards actually exposed locations linked to private and official visits.
Wow, so you can track their steps based on where their security detail went for a jog.
Essentially, yeah.
That's wild.
It is pretty wild.
I guess it just goes to show that
even seemingly harmless apps can have big security implications.
Absolutely.
Especially when you're dealing with sensitive data.
Especially, yeah.
Like world leader level sensitive data.
Absolutely. It highlights how data privacy concerns extend way beyond what we typically think of as cybersecurity.
So we've got vulnerable VPNs, rogue Windows themes, fitness trackers spilling state secrets.
A lot.
What else you got?
Let's switch gears a little bit.
Okay.
Talk about open source software.
Okay.
Specifically, a critical vulnerability in the Spring WebFlux framework.
Okay.
CVE 2024-38821.
All right, break that down for me.
Yeah.
What kind of damage can this vulnerability do?
So imagine this.
Okay.
An attacker gets access to sensitive configuration files or like internal JavaScript code.
Oh.
This isn't some harmless prank. We're talking potential for targeted attacks, data theft, even taking control of the application. It's a big one. But good news is this specific flaw doesn't affect the core functionality of Spring WebFlux.
Okay.
But if you're running an application built on this framework, you need to update to a patched Spring release.
Okay, so not a total meltdown.
Right.
But still a patch it now situation.
Patch it now,
Got it. But hold on. You mentioned AI vulnerabilities earlier. What's the deal with that?
Well, that's where things get even more interesting.
Okay.
Researchers have discovered over 36 security vulnerabilities in some popular open source AI and machine learning models.
What are we talking here?
So we're talking like Lunary, Chuanhu Chat GPT, local AI.
Wow, so AI is getting hacked now.
It's a thing.
What does that even look like?
Well, think like remote code execution, data theft, unauthorized access, the works.
So this is a big deal.
Yeah, it's a real concern, especially with how fast these technologies are developing and being adopted.
Yeah, AI is everywhere.
It is.
I mean, it's powering all those chatbots and tools that we use.
Exactly.
So it's built on code.
It is, and that code can have flaws.
Just like any other software.
Just like any other software, right?
So it's not just about protecting our devices anymore.
Right.
It's about protecting the AI.
Yeah.
That is becoming more and more a part of our lives.
Absolutely. The potential consequences.
Yeah.
Huge.
I'm not going to lie, this is starting to feel a little overwhelming.
Yeah, I hear you. It's a lot to keep up with.
It's like every piece of technology I use is a potential target.
It feels that way, right?
Yeah.
But the good news is that people are working on it. You know, they're working hard to address these challenges.
Good.
For example, Protect AI.
Okay.
They developed this tool called VulnHunter that uses large language models to detect security flaws in AI frameworks.
So we're using AI to fight AI vulnerability.
Exactly.
That's kind of poetic, actually.
It is. Right. It shows how important it is to think outside the box and use, new technologies to tackle these emerging threats.
But we've got to keep in mind, there's a human element to all of this.
There is.
Right. Like the attackers.
Oh, absolutely.
They're constantly coming up with new tricks.
Constantly.
Like what? Give us an example.
Okay, so they found ways to bypass security in models like ChatGPT by encoding malicious prompts in like seemingly harmless formats. Like hex code and emojis.
Okay, so they're hiding it.
In
plain sight.
In plain sight, yeah.
That's just sneaky.
It's very sneaky, it is.
So what can we do to protect ourselves in this wild west of AI vulnerabilities?
We need to prioritize security from the ground up in AI and machine learning development. It's not just about patching vulnerabilities after they're discovered. It's about building security into the very foundation.
So building it in from the start. Okay, so before we get lost in the AI rabbit hole, let's take a breather and talk about some other big names in tech that have been patching vulnerabilities lately.
Sounds good.
Like Apple.
Yes, Apple just released some major security updates for iOS 18.1, iPadOS 18.1, and macOS Sequoia 15.1.
So all the 18.1?
All the 18.1s, yep.
All right, and what did they fix?
Over 70 vulnerabilities.
70.
70 a lot.
That's a lot.
Big one.
What kind of issues are we talking here?
So these weren't just minor glitches.
Okay.
They fixed some serious problems like sandbox escapes.
Sandbox escapes.
Memory leaks.
Okay, hold on. You're going to have to break those down for me?
Yeah.
I'm picturing sandcastles and leaky faucets.
Yeah.
Not exactly cybersecurity threats.
I understand.
Yeah.
So imagine sandbox escape, like breaking out of a virtual jail cell within your device. So that allows malware to run rampant. Do all sorts of damage.
So it can get out and do whatever it wants.
Pretty much.
Yeah. Okay.
Memory leaks and heap corruption are a bit more technical. But essentially, they create vulnerabilities that attackers can exploit to crash your device or take control of it.
So bad news.
Bad news.
But the takeaway here is update your Apple devices.
Yes.
Don't wait.
Do not wait.
All right. What else?
And while you're at it, if you happen to be using QNAP's HBS3 hybrid backup sync software.
QNAP.
Okay. Make sure to update that too.
Okay.
They recently patched a critical zero-day vulnerability, CVE 2024-50388.
All right.
That could allow for remote code execution.
And I've heard QNAP devices are popular targets for ransomware.
They are, unfortunately.
Why is that?
They often store a lot of sensitive files, which makes them prime targets for attackers.
So if a hacker wants to, hold your data hostage and demand a ransom, they're going to go after the devices that hold the most valuable information.
Right, and QNAP devices. With their storage capabilities, they often fit the bill.
All right, so we've talked about vulnerabilities in VPNs, Windows themes, fitness apps, open source software, AI models, Apple products, and now QNAP devices.
We've covered a lot.
Is there anything else you want to throw on this cybersecurity bonfire?
Well, all of these individual incidents actually point to a larger trend.
Okay.
And that's this growing concern over trust and risk in this age of AI.
You're talking about that Vanna report, right?
I am.
The State of Trust report.
The 2024 State of Trust report. Yep.
Okay.
They found that a whopping 55% of organizations
55%.
are feeling more vulnerable than ever as they adopt AI.
And are they doing anything about it?
Well, most companies are only putting about 11% of their IT budget towards security.
Which is way less than
It's way less than the recommended 17%.
17%, yeah.
Right. And as AI grows rapidly, leading to more things like AI-driven malware and phishing attacks, that gap is just going to keep widening.
But that's not good.
It's not.
So what does this all mean for our listeners? Like, what's the big takeaway here?
It's a clear signal that security needs to be a top priority.
Okay.
Especially as AI becomes more and more widespread.
Right.
We can't just react to these threats. We need to be proactive.
Okay, be proactive.
And that means addressing the challenges both from, a technology standpoint and in terms of creating a culture of security awareness.
So it's not just about the technology.
Right.
It's about the people using it.
It's about the people.
Right, being aware.
As a potential threat.
It's a two-pronged approach.
And I think it's easy to feel overwhelmed by all of this.
I get it.
But we're not powerless.
We're not.
There are things we can do.
Absolutely.
To protect ourselves and our data.
Being informed and aware is half the battle won, right? Knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially when it comes to cybersecurity.
Absolutely.
So last time we were talking about the infinite money glitch.
Right.
And how even seemingly harmless vulnerabilities can have some pretty big consequences. But what about the vulnerabilities that are intentionally malicious?
Well, that leads us right into our next topic.
Okay.
How even the most advanced technology can still have vulnerabilities.
You're talking about that Spectre vulnerability. It just keeps coming back.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It's like the digital version of a horror movie villain.
Right.
You think it's gone for good, and then bam, it shows up again.
It's back.
So Spectre exploits a fundamental aspect of how modern processors work.
It does.
And researchers at ETH Zurich recently found that it's still a threat.
Yep.
Even in the latest AMD and Intel processors.
Yeah.
So they patched that ages ago.
They did, but
what happened?
Researchers discovered this new microcode flaw that can bypass those protections.
So even with the patch, it can still get in.
It can, and this leaves systems wide open to a full-blown Spectre leak.
Oh, wow. Okay, so there are ways to mitigate the risk?
There are.
But it's still kind of unnerving to know that this vulnerability has been hiding in plain sight for so long.
Yeah, it makes you wonder what else is out there.
Right, like lurking in the digital shadows.
It really underscores the fact that cybersecurity is an ongoing arms race.
It is.
As soon as we develop new safeguards, attackers are already figuring out how to get around them.
And it's not just Spectre, right?
Right.
You mentioned that these researchers also discovered some concerning things about rowhammer attacks.
Yes.
What's the deal with those?
Their work on rowhammer attacks was pretty groundbreaking. They showed how simply manipulating memory cells,
the ones that store our data.
The ones that store your data, could actually lead to data breaches.
What?
So it's almost like picking a lock with sound waves.
Really? So these vulnerabilities are practically baked into the very hardware of our computers.
Yeah, it highlights the need for a more comprehensive approach to security.
Okay.
We can't just focus on software patches and firewalls.
Right.
We need to think about security at every level.
Okay.
From the hardware all the way up to the software.
And everything in between.
And everything in between, including the human element.
Right, because even with the best security technology in the world,
right,
if someone clicks on a phishing link
exactly,
or uses a weak password,
right,
it can all be for nothing.
Exactly. It's a constant balancing act between technological advancements and human vigilance.
And that act's only going to get more challenging.
It is.
As technology keeps evolving at such a rapid pace.
Absolutely, which is why we have to stay informed,
right,
adapt our strategies, and never underestimate how creative those looking to exploit vulnerabilities can be.
Well said. So, as we wrap up part 2 of our cybersecurity deep dive, what's the one main takeaway you want listeners to remember?
Cybersecurity isn't a one-time fix. It's a continuous process.
You can't just, install an antivirus program and call it a day.
No, we have to constantly reevaluate our security practices and adapt to new threats.
It's like staying healthy.
It is.
You can't just eat one salad and expect to be in perfect shape forever.
Exactly.
You have to make it a lifestyle.
You do. And just like with health, everyone has a role to play. It's not just up to IT professionals to keep our systems secure.
Right. It's up to all of us.
It is. Each of us has to be aware of the risks and take steps to protect ourselves and our data.
So to sum it up,
stay
vigilant, stay informed, and stay proactive.
Stay proactive, absolutely.
And be sure to join us for part 3.
Yes.
Where we'll be diving into some real-world examples of cyber attacks. And exploring what the future holds.
Exactly.
For cybersecurity. Welcome back to the deep dive.
We're back.
We've been talking about everything from
it's been
ransomware and AI vulnerabilities
a lot
to election security. And even that infinite money glitch.
It's wild out there.
But now it's time to look ahead. What does the future hold for cybersecurity?
Well, with technology evolving at warp speed, one thing's for sure.
What's that?
The threat landscape is going to keep changing.
So what's on the horizon?
Right.
What should we be keeping an eye on?
Well, one area that's particularly interesting and a bit unsettling is the rise of quantum computing.
Quantum computing. Isn't that still mostly theoretical?
It is advanced. But it's developing rapidly.
Right.
And here's the thing. Once it becomes a reality, it has the potential to shatter
Oh, no.
many of the encryption algorithms we rely on today.
So all our passwords,
potentially,
financial transactions, everything could be vulnerable.
Potentially, yes, which is why researchers are already working hard
good.
to develop quantum-resistant cryptography.
So it's a race against time.
It is. A race against time. Build those defenses before the quantum computers arrive.
So it's a cybersecurity arms race.
It is.
But on a whole new level.
On a whole new level, exactly. But it also presents an opportunity, I think,
to
rethink our entire approach to security.
How so?
Instead of just playing whack-a-mole with vulnerabilities as they pop up, maybe we need to start thinking about security from the very beginning.
So you mean building systems that are inherently more secure?
Exactly.
Like designing a house with security in mind?
Yes.
Instead of adding an alarm system.
Right, as an afterthought.
As an afterthought, yeah.
Precisely, and that involves everything from incorporating security principles into the design process to fostering a culture of security awareness among users.
Because at the end of the day, technology is only as secure as the people using it.
Absolutely. Human error is still one of the biggest vulnerabilities out there.
Yeah, it doesn't matter how sophisticated our systems become.
It doesn't.
They're only as strong as their weakest link.
Exactly.
So as we move forward into this increasingly complex digital world,
it is getting complex.
We all need to take responsibility for our own security. And the security of the systems we rely on.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. We have to stay informed, be proactive, and never become complacent.
Complacency will kill you in the cybersecurity world.
Cybersecurity is a shared responsibility. And it starts with each one of us.
Well said. I think that's a great note to end on.
It is.
This deep dive into cybersecurity has been
eye-opening.
Eye-opening, to say the least.
It's been quite a journey.
It has.
Exploring the threat landscape and what lies ahead.
And hopefully,
I hope so.
It's left our listeners feeling more informed. And empowered to navigate the digital world safely.
That's the goal.
Knowledge is power.
It is.
Especially when it comes to cybersecurity.
Absolutely. The more we understand the risks, the better equipped we to protect ourselves.
So to our listeners, stay vigilant, stay curious, and stay safe out there.
Stay safe.
In the digital Wild West.
Until next time.
This has been The Deep Dive. Thanks for listening.